Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into something really immense, really fascinating. The serpent. And look, if you've ever felt kind of overwhelmed trying to get your head around a complex topic, well, you're definitely in good company.
Oh, absolutely.
Our source material for this deep dive is Barbara Hanna's The Serpent, Notes on the Biological Background. And even she admitted feeling, completely drowned in material, just trying to condense it all.
It's so true. The symbolism is just, it's so vast and often quite elusive. People often say it just slips right through your fingers, you
Right.
know? So our mission today really is to try and cut through some of that complexity. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this really rich source.
Give everyone a shortcut.
Exactly, a shortcut to understanding why this ancient creature holds such deep and often, contradictory meaning across cultures and, well, deep within our own psyche, too.
Okay, so let's start right there then. The author, Hannah, she highlights how notoriously difficult it is to really grasp the symbolism of the serpent. What is it about this creature that makes it so uniquely hard to pin down?
Well, what's really remarkable is that its very nature seems to, resist simple definition. Our source tells us it's an animal whose symbolism is uniquely difficult to master, always slipping through our fingers. And this isn't just about, the sheer volume of stuff written about it, though there is a lot. It's more about its vast, multifaceted representations. Imagine trying to hold water. It's everywhere and nowhere at once, always shifting,
Yeah,
which makes it a perfect, if maybe frustrating, canvas for all our projected meanings.
that's a powerful image, not just complex, but inherently elusive, almost slippery itself. It makes me wonder, though, if it's so hard to grasp, why do humans keep coming back to this creature again and again? What draws us in?
That's precisely where it starts getting really insightful. One of the core ideas in our source is that the serpent consistently embodies incredible dualities.
Where?
Polar opposites. You see it popping up everywhere in ancient animal mythology, fairy tales, primitive religions.
And even in more developed faiths, too, right?
Exactly. Even in highly differentiated faiths. It's pervasive.
And it's not just a little bit dual, is it? The source highlights some really extreme contrasts.
Absolutely extreme. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the serpent is consistently representing two great opposites. For instance, it often appears as both Christ and the devil, good and evil, healing and poison.
Wow.
This widespread, really powerful significance is profound. Carl Jung himself, he's obviously central here.
Right.
He once suggested the serpent might have, get this, 7,000 meanings?
7,000.
Yeah.
That just underscores how many layers of human experience of projection this one creature can hold.
It really does.
And beyond just being a symbol of these opposing forces, the source talks about the serpent representing the totally other. That's a phrase that really makes you stop and think, what exactly does that mean for us, for you, the listener?
That's a crucial concept, yeah. The totally other refers to something fundamentally different from the human, something often seen as, divine or primordial.
Not us.
Not us. Jung linked the human soul's capacity for relating to God, or the divine, with this archetype. He saw the serpent as a symbol that helps us approach this totally other idea. But here's the kicker, the paradox. For something to be wholly other, completely alien, it can also simultaneously represent one of the soul's deepest and closest intimacies.
How can that be?
Right, think about it. How can something so remote, so foreign to our everyday experience also feel so intrinsically connected, so deep inside our own being?
It really challenges our perception of what's us and what's not us.
Exactly. It forces us to look at those boundaries.
That paradox alone is truly fascinating. Maybe to grasp this deeper meaning, we need to understand the creature itself a bit more. Our source dives deep into the observations of Brem, an animal expert. So, stepping away from the abstract for just a moment, what stands out about the serpent's physical traits, its behaviors? What gives us clues?
Well, what becomes immediately apparent is how its very biology seems to embody those symbolic contradictions we were just talking about. It's cold-blooded, right? It absorbs and stores heat from its surroundings.
A Wechselwarm's Wurmbeltier.
Yes, a variable temperature vertebrate. It hibernates, it can become absolutely stiff.
Almost like death.
Precisely. That inherent coldness, that capacity for stillness, it sets it apart from, warm-blooded animals. It hints at something unfeeling, maybe, or primal. Brem even describes its brain as relatively meek, especially compared to mammals and birds.
Meek, but effective.
Oh, incredibly effective at synthesizing diverse information, allowing it to act with this eerie precision.
It sounds like a creature of profound biological contradictions then, which obviously feeds the symbolism.
Absolutely. And think about its senses. It has poor hearing, pretty poor sight.
But the tongue.
But the tongue, that's its primary organ of orientation, constantly flicking, moving, tasting the air, measuring its environment with incredible, uncanny precision.
So limited input, but this appearance of knowing everything.
Exactly, an appearance of profound, ancient knowing, and its movement described as having extraordinary mobility, any direction, except backward.
That constant forward motion. Like fate, maybe?
Could be. That undulating movement. It can symbolize relentless progress, or maybe an inescapable fate. Yeah. Then there are its eyes. That peculiarly staring, glassy appearance.
Unsettling.
Very unsettling, an unblinking intensity. And remember Hagenbeck's famous anecdote about the python?
Oh yeah, the one that killed its owner's friend.
Right. It highlights that inherent untrustworthiness. It's not a loyal companion, but it's not exactly a straightforward enemy either. It occupies this ambiguous, sort of detached space.
That story really underscores its enigmatic quality. Its whole being seems to scream other.
It really does.
And then there are those other behaviors, maybe less common but still striking, like the snake balls before mating.
Yeah, those intertwined masses of serpents suggests a kind of collective primal force, doesn't it?
Definitely. And what about the snake operation for the third eye that's mentioned in Lobsang Rampa's writings?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Lobsang Rampa, he was a controversial figure, but widely read in Western esotericism. That idea highlights a perceived hidden power, almost an inherent spiritual energy linked to the creature.
Like a wisdom or a transformation.
Something like that. A wisdom or transformation that maybe requires a deep, perhaps uncomfortable confrontation. It suggests that interacting with the serpent, even just symbolically, could be an initiation, a doorway to a deeper awareness.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. How does this mysterious, biologically unique creature connect with our inner world, our dreams, our deepest, most primal instincts?
This is the profound psychological leap our source, particularly through Jung, makes. Jung highlighted how the serpent often symbolizes psychic happenings, things that just suddenly dart out of the unconscious.
With frightening effect or redeeming?
Both, either frightening or redeeming effect. This points directly to a primordial fear or maybe an instinctual awareness that's just deeply embedded within all of us.
So, okay, when we dream about snakes, which lots of people do,
Yeah.
what might our unconscious be trying to signal?
Well, dreams of serpents frequently represent a terrifying or dreamlike organic threat, something emerging from our deepest, often uncomfortable unconscious layers. Primal stuff. Jung himself, he had this incredibly vivid dream, an enormous serpent during World War I.
Wow. And he connected that.
He connected it to the catastrophe of the time, specifically epidemics like the Spanish flu. So it's not just about a physical threat in the dream. It suggests the serpent can be an unconscious call for our instinctive, deep-seated reactions to profound shifts, whether personal or societal.
That's like the Saurian on the way, is that the term?
Yes, exactly. A Jungian term for those ancient primordial thoughts or contents emerging from the deepest parts of the unconscious. From the collective unconscious, as he called it.
So the Saurian, it's not a literal dinosaur coming for us, but more like it's a metaphor for these really old fundamental instincts bubbling up.
Precisely. And this links directly to what our source calls cold-blooded relics.
Cold-blooded relics.
Yeah, these fundamental factors of our instinctive life. Things that date way back, Paleozoic times even. Think of them as the most ancient foundational parts of our human programming, often operating way beneath conscious awareness. The source also notes something interesting, that remarkable individuals can sometimes possess a kind of inhumanity or strangeness.
Like the serpent itself.
Exactly like the serpent. Something that makes them intriguing, maybe a bit unsettling, but powerful. And there's another fascinating connection. The sympathetic nervous system.
Our fight-or-flight system.
Right. It governs those automatic responses. And it's linked, interestingly, to both music and the serpent's fluid movement.
How so?
Well, it suggests how the serpent embodies this primal, non-rational energy. Something that bypasses our conscious thought and directly accesses our core instincts, our gut feelings. So in its deepest symbolism, the serpent truly represents a powerful, a means of communicating with the divine, maybe, and definitely a union of the opposites within us.
That really brings it all together, how this creature, so external and seemingly primal, can mirror our own internal unconscious processes. It's almost like the serpent helps us confront those parts of ourselves that are inherently cold or require us to engage with the totally other aspects of our own instincts.
Exactly. And, to help us really distill all this incredibly rich symbolism, our source provides a fantastic framework, sort of four main categories.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
because there's a lot to take in.
Uh-huh.
What's the first lens we can use to understand the serpent's myriad meanings?
The first category is probably the most common one we think of. The serpent as a demon of earth, darkness, and evil.
Right, the classic bad guy serpent.
Pretty much. This is the archetype we see in figures like the devil, often depicted with a serpent's tail, right?
Yeah.
And in myths and stories like the one from Maniskef mentioned in the source, where a devil serpent visits a young widow, it embodies temptation, malevolence, chaos, destruction.
Okay. But as we've already touched on quite a bit, it's not all negative, is it? What are the more positive interpretations?
Oh, far from it. The second category positions the serpent as a spirit of light, wisdom, and creativity.
Like in medicine.
Exactly. Think of the staff of Asclepius, the serpent entwined around a rod, a powerful symbol of healing and medicine, even today. Wisdom. Then, the third category sees it as a symbol of renewal and the Ouroboros.
The serpent eating its own tail.
That's the one. Representing natural cyclic life, eternal return, self-sufficiency, wholeness, constant transformation.
Okay, so demon, wisdom, figure, symbol of renewal.
Yeah.
And the fourth category, this is where it all synthesizes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How does it tie all these incredible contradictions together?
The fourth category really captures the full spectrum, the whole paradox. It's the serpent representing the union of opposites, and, as we mentioned, as a profound means of communicating with the divine.
Holding both sides at once.
Precisely. This framework explains why, in places like India and Persia, for example, the serpent is revered as both potentially demonic and profoundly positive. It often appears right alongside powerful gods and goddesses, symbolizing their immense, often paradoxical power. It's a creature that demands we hold multiple truths simultaneously. No easy answers.
What an incredible journey we've taken just through this single ancient creature. From its truly unique biology, its cold-bloodedness, its stare, to its profound psychological and symbolic presence in our deepest dreams and myths. The serpent truly is a creature that forces us, doesn't it, to confront so many paradoxical aspects of ourselves and the world around us.
Indeed. This deep dive really illustrates how knowledge, even from seemingly dense sources like Barbara Hanna's work, becomes so valuable when you can understand it and apply it to your own perspective. The serpent, in all its forms, it really challenges us to look beyond simplistic views, beyond just black and white, good or evil. It forces us to embrace complexity.
So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you listening right now? How can you maybe apply this knowledge, these ideas?
Well, I think the serpent embodies fundamental truths. Truths about life, death, transformation, things that are often hidden or maybe just uncomfortable to confront. Like that peculiarly primitive libido Hannah mentions, those raw instinctual drives within us, or those cold-blooded aspects of our own psyche that aren't always rational or, frankly, pleasant.
It makes us aware of a deeper, maybe older intelligence operating within us.
Definitely. And instinctual wisdom, perhaps.
Okay, so here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over. Consider how a creature so remote from our daily lives, so other, and yet so intrinsic to our shared human experience, like the serpent. Consider how it reflects parts of our own human nature that are perhaps inherently cold, or how it challenges us to truly confront the totally other within ourselves. Maybe understanding the serpent is actually a pathway to understanding those aspects of ourselves we often prefer to keep hidden in the dark.